Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Do you go by Robert Courtney, Robert Courtney Collins, Robert Collins? I've seen you say just Rob.
Whatever flows naturally. We'll go with
Well,
it.
it's so nice to see your face. I became familiar with you, I think, years ago when you launched Unique Collection,
Yes.
right? And so I saw your drive and determination then, which the collection that still exists, correct? That whole brand.
Yes, it's just operating in a different capacity, but it is absolutely alive and well. We do a lot of wholesale activity, and so we landed a contract with um, a very large company that doesn't allow us to put their name out there. And so I can't say who the company is because then you'll realize all of their products are coming from us, or a lot of them. Not all of them. We're like the third largest wholesaler for this particular company. But that just completely shifted everything for us. We got that contract in 2020 during COVID.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, it's just been like autopilot since then. So
So for people who don't know who you are, what's your like elevator pitch? Who is Robert Courtney Collins?
Robert Courtney is the ultimate connector. I get energy from bringing people together, connecting dots. The way that I do that to generate revenue for myself is through a marketing and branding agency called Robert Courtney and Associates. And I use that company to help me really live out my purpose and fulfill my passion, which is just helping people in any way I possibly can.
Well, and you're huge with that. I feel like even before Unique Collection, your whole goal was how do I give back to the community? Where did that come from? Where did that idea of I'm more than just myself and how can I help other people? Is that something that you grew up with? Was that in your family? Where did that come from? Because a lot of people nowadays don't want to help others. They just want to figure out how do I make money?
Yeah, I think for me, I was always, I mean, first of all, like it comes from my parents. Like I was raised in a household that like my dad to this day is probably the nicest human that I know, and he's probably did more for people. And so I learned from him. Like he was my first example of what being a good human looked like. And then from there it was me trying to figure out why everyone needed to take advantage of people in order to accomplish whatever it is that they were accomplishing. And my first experience with entrepreneurship came within a barbershop. And so in that setting, it was very community driven, but people were, as a barber, naturally, you become the middleman for everything because so many different people from so many different walks of life. You could cut one person's hair who is uber successful, multi millionaire, and then the very next haircut is a person who just lost his job, struggling, don't know how they're going to make ends meet, and so I feel in navigating that type of environment on a regular basis, the real goal is how can I quickly connect with these individuals, although they play on so many different levels. And so before you know it, you've developed the skill set for literally connecting with people. And then the next phase of it becomes, okay, actually, I know a person who owns a company that I think you'd be a perfect fit for. Let me make this connection. And so that just became like the environment that I played in so much to, now it becomes, all right, I'm really good at this, but it's not necessarily making me any money. Like the person that I connect is generating revenue, but I don't really benefit from it more than, hey, thanks. I really appreciate what you did. And which was okay. But what I figured out was, especially with social media, that there was a bigger opportunity for me to really lean into these skills that I had developed, and ways that I could generate revenue from it.
Well, I also think number one, being in a barbershop, people will tell you all the things, right? There's something about it to where they feel like there's no wall there where they can be honest with themselves. And so when people are being honest with somebody, you can connect them more easily because they're being honest about what they actually need.
They let
Number
the walls
one,
down. Yeah, the walls come
right.
down.
And then number two, I think that you have a certain energy about you. Have you always been that guy that people just come to or are drawn to anyway, automatically? And is that a lot on your shoulders, where you feel like everyone's coming to you because they need something?
I have always been that person, but I think it's because I am a listener by nature, and my like I actively listen. Like I'm hanging on to every word that a person says because either I'm listening or I'm not. And I try to be that way through and through. As I've gotten older and I carry more responsibility, obviously my bandwidth is something that I have to just be aware of. I think if you're not, then that could play on your mental capacity and just, um, just being available to serve people in the way they need to be served. But yeah, just growing up, I've always just been a really good listener, and I developed a habit of speaking only when I had something to say. And I don't know, like that probably started as insecurity, but over the years, it's really helped me just be selective. Like if I'm going to make a statement, I'm going to make sure it's to solve a problem or to add value. I'm not going to just talk to talk. And so I feel like that's probably where that's come from. And then with what I do for a living now, which is mostly, brand strategy and marketing, being a good listener is probably the biggest skill set necessary in order to become that person. Like we have to adopt that person's voice. We have to understand what they would say in certain scenarios. And so in order to do that, like you really, really have to listen with all aspects of you, not just with your ears. Like you have to feel that person. You have to create a different type of connection with that person's energy to really become them in how you distribute their content.
How have you been able to be the creator of all these different entities? I mean, besides Unique Collection, you have the branding agency, you just released a book, and then obviously we're going to get into CreatorCon. There's all these things. You've grown exponentially. Obviously, your team has grown, which means a lot of people need you. How do you create those boundaries of time so you still have something for yourself and for family? I'm having an issue with that myself.
Yeah.
So I need to know, like, how are you doing this?
It's a mystery to me also. No, I'm just playing.
Like there's 24 hours in a day. We have the same 24 hours. I don't understand how I can use them more wisely.
What's so interesting, and I don't know if I've ever even answered that specific question, but everything that I do is basically the same, believe it or not. So if you take it back to me owning a barbershop, the barbershop is built. My barbershop was ran on a barber rental model, which meant that every barber was responsible for booth rent. And I have no business degree or background. I didn't come from an entrepreneur business family. And so everything I learned through actual experience. And so this is the first model that I was introduced to. Every individual pays me, that money pays the bills. As long as I can keep the chairs full, that means that people come into the barbershop because they're coming to see their barber, which means that the word about the barbershop continued to spread and it kept me in business. Super simple, black and white. The next iteration of that, if you think about my team and Robert Courtney and Associates, it's essentially the exact same thing. We bring in account managers to manage social media accounts, and only thing that I've had to create framework work for is the amount that each social media manager can handle before we need to bring in another social media manager. So it's the barbershop model based around social media accounts, and it's worked very well for me. And so everything is for me done in framework. And once I figure out a framework that works, all I do is duplicate the system. So if we go to Branding for Beginners was a group presentation that I did for business owners because I didn't have the bandwidth to do one-on-ones. So I just would put them all in the same room. It was before coaching calls and Zoom calls became a thing. I was doing that in person, teaching everybody because I didn't have the team or the resources to do it for each individual person. So Branding for Beginners just simply became a book, and the event Branding for Beginners became CreatorCon. Like it's it's just a bigger version of Branding for Beginners with more moving parts. But I don't really change my models. Like my thing is, if you find something that's working well, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just simply reframe it and repackage it, and then figure out how a way to do it better. But the components are the same.
But along that framework is growing pains at some point in time, which I'm going through right now. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to grow?
Yeah.
Because the bigger it is, right, the less hands-on in a way you can be. Because again, there's only 24 hours in a day. So talk to me about growing pains. When there was that point where you were like, we have to expand.
Yeah.
How did you get through that? Because financially it's hard. Maybe it wasn't for you because you had unique and you've grown brands before. There was a point in time where I had to call my husband and say, hey, I have to go into our savings account to make payroll this month. That's not an easy conversation to have, but I couldn't not do it, right? Because I want to continue growing.
Yeah.
Was there ever a period of time when you were growing multiple brands that you were like, how are we going to sustain this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, growing pains come in a lot of different ways. And so I feel like there's a lot of questions that was wrapped into there, but I'll do my best to break each one down. So growing, if you want to grow, like there's only a few ways that you can grow. You can grow with money or you can grow with people. Like that's pretty much it, right? And so if you're going to grow with people, then that means that the systems have to be in place so that those people can help you eliminate the need for you to be directly involved. And so if there's not systems and there's not documentation around what your frameworks are for the areas that need you to duplicate yourself, then growing is going to be impossible when it comes to people. Then the other part would be money. So you're going to pay those people in order to do it, but they shouldn't need to be paid unless the opportunity or clients or partnerships or whatever it is that you're trying to grow into, if those aren't available, then what would be the need for extra people? So you have to identify, like sometimes I feel that the individual who's looking to grow, like you may feel like you're maximizing your 24 hours, right? But maybe the 24 hours can be used in a better way. If you are fully maximizing it, then that means that the opportunity that you're not able to capitalize on because your time is basically not available, there's money there. So now we have to find the people in order to accomplish those tasks. And so finding the right person could be a challenge. But if you're finding the right people, now it's just a matter of investing the money into those people. And if the framework and the systems are in place to help you duplicate yourself through the people, then the scaling and the growing should be easy at that point.
So in theory, are you the umbrella company and then you have other smaller social media companies, social media management companies under you that are their own entities, but then work with you and your clients? Is that how that's working?
No. So my model for my agency is we work with freelance account managers that we 1099. However, there's so much business that they don't have a need to go work for anybody
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when I say you have to create the demand, right? Like if there's nobody wanting our services, then there's no need to hire additional account managers, and there's not a problem. Like there shouldn't be, I shouldn't have to worry about scaling because I have the resources to deliver on what's needed at that moment. But I feel like it all starts with framework. Like you can't think about scaling or growing if the foundation isn't understood. And if you understand the foundation, now you can say, here's what I do well, here's what I can hire somebody else for, here's what it's going to take to hire that person. And I think a lot of times people make the mistake of wanting to micromanage and control things to such a level to where it prevents you from bringing on other people, because the reality is you're never going to get 100% of you. Like, I have to be okay with 60, 70, 80%.
That's hard. That's so hard for me, Robert. Honestly, that's the hardest thing for me. I spent a whole day yesterday, 7 pages of edits, 7 pages for my editor, because I was just like, this is not what I wanted. That was a time waster. But to me, I will get the product that I want. It was like 60% wasn't good enough for me. So I think that's number one, where my biggest issue is. Number two, I think I really have to get clear on what is it that I really want? Because if I just want money coming in so I can hire freelancers to do my production work, right? My vlogs, my podcast, well, then do I really want to grow a business, or do I really want to focus on creating? And I think that's kind of the crossroads that I'm at right now, where I think in a perfect world I could do both, but knowing that there's only 24 hours in a day, and I want to also help you as a boutique company continue to help my clients one-on-one, I don't think I can do both. And so it's really weird to be in that position of like, I may have to actually say goodbye to like the business part and focus 100% on just being a creator.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible to do both. It's 100% possible to do both. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Like, scaling as a business owner is very different than scaling as a creator or as like a freelancer, right? Because if you're trying to scale as a creator, which means you're trying to bring in more clients and you're trying to do more work, you're going to burn out. Like, it's just only a matter of time before you throw your hands up, and you may lose 3-4 clients, but then you get the competitive energy to get back out there and get active. And then you just, so I watch creators, and I mean, creators could be a lot of different things, right? Like, that could mean
everyone's a creator. I say that to everybody. I was like, as soon as you decide you're not a consumer anymore and you are a creator, it could be anything in any genre. Like, I have a chef that I'm following next week because he is a creator.
CreatorCon.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to talk about that. So CreatorCon is coming up November 15th and 16th. This is the second year in a row? Third year. Okay. So how is CreatorCon this year bigger and better than it's ever been?
I think the biggest difference is, I mean, we learn every year, so the first difference is obviously in the attendees and the amount of people. So, we've watched that grow so far, and the trajectory is that it will surpass what it did last year, just from an attendance standpoint. I look at the sponsors that have opted to come on board.
Oh my God, huge. Congratulations, by the way. That's huge.
You probably know what it's like to get sponsors.
So, it's amazing. Well, you also feel like people believe in the project. Does that make sense? Like, you've got your like core people that will always support, in year one. But by year 3, when you're like, oh my God, this is becoming huge, and I'm assuming on trajectory of what you've dreamed it to be.
Yeah. No, it's moving. I mean, I try to not put a ceiling on anything that I do. Like, when I think of CreatorCon, I think of stadiums. Like, I think of the biggest vision possible, and that just keeps the gas tank filled on my energy to try to make it happen, whether it gets there or not. Like, we're going to keep giving it 120%. But sponsors, speakers, people that want to be a part of it, the whole idea is everyone wants to trust your vision, but they need to see you actively pushing toward that vision as well. So if I do CreatorCon the first year and then it doesn't come back the second year, or it's not better, bigger and better, then basically the people are like, yeah, I was afraid of that, but whatever I start is going to, have massive amounts of energy, because I'm not going to start it if I don't feel motivated and inspired to keep pushing it until its fullest potential. So what we've experienced is us going into our third year, and just like the planning. Now, when people say, "Well, what are the numbers? What did it do? Can you show me?" And we can show them like the happy faces, the recaps, the testimonials, the numbers of attendees that showed up. All of these things now make people more interested, and they're still naysayers. Like, they're still even the ones who basically give you hope, and they suggest that they're going to support or sponsor, and then you don't hear from them. But all those things for me fuel the tank. Like, they give me more motivation to push even harder, because clearly I haven't done enough work, and I've never been afraid of work. Like, I'll do what's necessary.
Well, and for those people that fall off, just energetically, it allows for the people that do want to support you wholeheartedly, number one. And number two, I feel like you're a true visionary. I mean, does your brain ever shut off? Are you consistently thinking of year one and year two and like what could be better and how do we amp it up? When does the brain stop?
In a very intentional way. Like, I've definitely learned over the years to manage my brain and my thoughts and my ideas. And there's so many ideas that'll never see the light of day, that are incredible ideas, I might add. But you have to just learn how to manage your own creativity, because every idea isn't meant to be executed, or it's not meant to be executed by you. And I have tons of ideas for CreatorCon that financially just don't make sense at the moment, that may or may not happen. Yeah.
Yet.
But, at the end of the day, it's being practical. It's understanding the landscape. It's understanding the city of Detroit, what sponsors are looking for, how it plays into their bigger plan, so all of these things are being factored in as I roll out. Like, we started CreatorCon with the idea of just connecting creators and putting these industries under one umbrella. And that has evolved into sustainability as a creator, and resources, and how do I take my freelance business or my project-based business and turn it into a sustainable business model that can operate without me, and so these are the things that this is where the economic state of the city of Detroit is, and this is what the need is. Also, like tech is a huge thing for this region, right? So with the understanding of the market, all that information plays into where CreatorCon is going, because at the end of the day, it's for the city of Detroit. Like, this is about creating a beacon that will attract people from other places to come here to do the things that they, aspire to do, and making CreatorCon like the conference that brings all that together.
Well, and there's really nothing else like it in Detroit. So I think that's amazing that you're the one to do it. Our tickets are still available, right? Is it creatorcondetroit.com?
Yep.
And then speakers, you're closed for accepting speakers.
Speaker nominations are closed.
Okay.
And then there is a few that's still being selected to fill out the program.
Okay.
But as far as like submissions, like that part is closed.
Okay. What can we expect from CreatorCon this year? What are we looking forward to?
We have some huge surprise announcements as far as featured speakers and fireside chats. We have started rolling out some of the primary speakers for different industries and segments. So you can go to Instagram.com/CreatorConDET to get some of the most up-to-date information. But as someone who's never been, the biggest difference this year is going to be that it's a 2-day conference versus a 1-day conference. And one of the things that we've noticed with growing the conference realm just here in Detroit, like there's not any conferences hardly. And so people who's never left and went to other states like California or Vegas or Miami, you don't have conference legs. Like, you're not going to come at 9 o'clock in the morning and stay until 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And so we've decided to condense the program and make it more interactive, give you more things to do, as opposed to just sitting and listening and being overwhelmed by information for an entire day with one, maybe two breaks.
Well, because
So
it's a lot.
it's a lot to take in. So you can expect a very festive, energetic environment, cameras, podcasts, video, just networking, like just very conversational environment with people who can actually impact your life that day. Like one conversation can change everything for you if you're the right fit and you're bringing the right value. Someone can potentially create an opportunity that could change your life in that interaction.
That's what I'm excited for. I feel like I'm staying open to that opportunity. I got my podcast was picked to be in the podcast playground, so I'm so excited for that.
Yes. Only 15 too, out of a lot of entries.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's going to be incredible. But I'm also excited for everybody that's coming, because I feel like there's something about that energy of creating together and what can we do together, and then also seeing things in a different way. Maybe we're so used to doing things one way and we don't even realize, oh, wait, like this could make my life easier, or this person can answer that question that I've had for so long. Yeah. Do you suggest people get a hotel room? So now that it's 2 days, should we get a hotel room? Should we stay there overnight? Is it sort of easier than like going home? What do you think? Should we have like this immersive 2 days and just stay in the city?
I mean, it would be amazing if you support the Cambria and grab a room, since they are the host, so I'm definitely going to encourage and push people grabbing a room where you could just literally go upstairs, sleep, and come down the next morning for the remainder of the conversation. But even if you didn't decide to stay, doors open at 9 a.m. The actual program won't start until 11 or 12. So there's going to be 2-3 hours of just, there's workshops. Again, there's the podcast, there's vendors, there's exhibitors. And so we want to really allow for connections and conversation to happen. So if that looks like staying at the Cambria, that's amazing. If that looks like you going home, that's amazing as well. There will be a few afterglows happening that's not at Cambria. And so if you buy the $100 VIP band, that will get you access to some of the after events and things happening over CreatorCon weekend. But we've made it a very intentional program where you can come Friday and get everything you need. You might come Saturday, get everything you need. Obviously, we want you to come both days, but we want you to curate the experience that's best for you.
If you really want to go, I would for sure get the VIP pass, because I feel like you need to get everything out of this 2 days, and especially with you guys presenting, why miss out on any opportunity, right? Get the VIP pass and you're good to go for everything, which I think just makes it so much easier on everybody. And especially like, bring your team, get your whole team a VIP pass, right? Like, don't just come by yourself. If you have a media company, a production company, a marketing company, a branding company, and then I'm sure you're going way outside of that also with tech and AI, et cetera. Bring your team to this. Show them that you want to invest in their creativity and values and getting to know other people. You can't expand if you're always just in your isolated little, corporate block.
100%.
So I suggest getting VIP passes for your whole team.
Just to piggyback on that, this is real estate, this is investing, this is hospitality, so this isn't just about creators and creatives in this traditional sense. This is about what we talked about earlier. Everyone is a creator if you have to produce content to show on platforms. And, that's a concept that I feel we are still adjusting to when it comes to just professional services and like how we show up, how we get clients, how we create awareness. And so that's why this conference is so important. You can be a real estate agent looking to learn how to be a better creator through content, and there could be a Rachel there, and Rachel is very good with podcasts and quick videos and recaps. And now that conversation happens, and next thing you know, it's like, you know what? Instead of me doing it, I'm going to hire you to do it. And then magic is made. And so, like, that's where the plant your seeds and let it grow really comes into play. And that's why I want to put as many different people in different industries all under one roof, because we're on the same wavelength.
Well, and you also see where entertainment is going, right? The reason why YouTube is the number one entertainment platform, beating out all these other streaming platforms, is because it's more than just a query, right? Like, how do you do this? It's become an entertainment platform. And you don't have to be a YouTuber to tell your story. We all have a story to tell. So I think that when every industry starts to realize, oh, like, we can have skin in this game of telling our story, because with the brand, people don't buy the what, they buy the why. And I think if more people start talking about the why, they can create something even within the brand of the story, of telling the story.
If more people capture themselves talking about the why, and that's the part, like, that's the part everyone's learning. Like, how do I capture me talking about why I do it? And so I feel like that's a new concept, especially depending on how long you've been in business and, how you've made your money in the past. Like, we're switching gears on what that looks like. And, business owners are starting to figure it out. And I feel like CreatorCon is a place where we can expedite that process.
Right, because people don't want to be sold to anymore.
Correct.
Right? And I think that when we're talking about, well, how do I tell our story? Just tell this, like, pick it up and tell the story. It's not that hard. I think a lot of times we get overwhelmed with, like, the quality of the video, or like the AI captions, or do I have to add B-roll to everything? No. You don't have to do any of that. You don't even have to be face to camera if you don't want to. You can have an AI voiceover and not even be face to camera, but still tell your story. There's so many different ways that we can create content, i.e. tell our stories. And I really looking forward to CreatorCon to see just exponentially how many different ways that people can come together and create together. Are you speaking at CreatorCon?
Absolutely. I mean, okay. So normally, like, all of my big platforms are an opportunity to give other people platforms. So I never make myself like the star of the show.
Yeah, but you're a great public speaker. I mean, you're an amazing speaker.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will definitely say a few words, but I won't be the focal point. It'll be it's my opportunity to give everybody else a place to share their stories and speak to their expertise. So.
Okay, so CreatorConDetroit.com. Follow them on Instagram as well. Tickets are still available. Like I said, I suggest everybody get a VIP pass because you'll get way more out of the event. Before I let you go, there's two more things I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Mamba, and then the social media store. I remember news was released about the social media store. Where are you at with that space?
So the social media store is actively being built out. The build out timeline is completely out of my control. And so the last update as of Monday of this week, what's today, Tuesday? Yesterday, is they're just waiting for electrical permits, and then we'll be all set. And so the electrical is the last piece. I'm hoping for January open, but that would be amazing. However, it's going to open when it's supposed to. And so if it's not
we trust the process, correct?
Absolutely.
Trust the process.
1000% trust the process. But I'm so, like, CreatorCon got our hands full. My team, we will meet anywhere and everywhere. We're on Zoom, we're in other people's offices, we're in the streets creating content. Like, so I don't even need an office per se, but the social media store is for the people. It's for the public. It's a concept that I feel is needed and necessary. And the only fear is that someone else opens up a similar concept before our store open.
Have you talked about what the concept is? Like, is it like a co-working space, or is it a creating space? What is the concept behind the social media store?
It's both. Okay. So the concept is that there's so many people that can't necessarily afford social media management services, and they just need quick answers around social media related questions. And so the social media store is will be a membership based model where people can come in off the streets and get quick, real time information, feedback, help, suggestions, direction um, at the store. And
That's
then
brilliant.
on top of that, there'll also be creative tools. So we'll have the photographers, the videographers, the cameras, everything that a creator would need to create high quality professional content will be there. Our team will be there. Obviously, those things will be based on different packages and pricings and membership levels. But then there'll also be workshops and events and things happening scheduled weekly and monthly. So if you're looking to be better at Reels or better on Instagram or how to work TikTok or Facebook, like there will be workshops happening weekly that you can come by and learn all the, different things that's being taught in those
That
workshops.
is awesome. And then Mamba, the
So
Michigan Association of Marketing and Branding Agencies. Did you create this, or are you just part of a bigger?
no, that I created it. Mamba is like the retirement play. Like, so
You're like, what's the long-term goal?
yeah, the Mamba is because honestly, I'm at a place where I'm only starting to do business with certain types of clients that really fit my personal um my personal interests, whereas
Mhm.
we've operated for so long where if you need social, it doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you do, we'll do it. Now we're at a point where I interview all of our new clients now.
Mhm.
And if I feel like this is a vibe or energy that I connect to, or, even the person that I'll be communicating with directly or our team will be talking to, there has to be a high level of chemistry. Otherwise, we'll probably pass. And I don't no longer want to just pass to nothing for that person to go and search more. So
Right.
now Mamba is my attempt to connect people again, right? Like we're back to the original
Right.
part of this conversation. If I have an organization where I have hundreds of agencies connected to it, there's somebody in our agency who is a perfect fit for what you're looking for. And now
Right.
all I have to do is make the connection there. So that's the main reason for Mamba. Beyond that, Mamba will operate out of the RCA store. So all of our Mamba professionals and agencies will be able to host their own workshops and use our space for meetings and meetups and things like that. And so it's just an additional pipeline for the store, but also more importantly, to move marketing and branding forward and make Detroit a more respectable place for someone who's looking for those type of things.
Well, I love that. If it doesn't align with you, it's okay to say no.
Exactly.
Have you ever had to fire a client? Have you ever been in a space where you're like, this isn't working out?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you like, so when you're early on starting out, like you can't fire anybody, right?
No, I
You
know.
have
Yeah.
to,
You're like,
you have,
okay,
yeah,
pays the
you
bills.
have to be more flexible. But yeah, like I feel like I've put enough stake in the game. Like I've earned the right, to get to this point where now like we're interviewing each other, and sometimes I'm not the right fit, sometimes you're not the right fit, and sometimes we don't find that out until a month or two in. And my services are month to month, um and it's probably scary. Like the idea of that would probably be scary for most entrepreneurs, but for me, like it's perfect. Like we spend each month together. At the end of the month, we both make a decision. Like you like what we're doing, you pay us again. You don't like what we're doing, you don't pay us. Same with us. If it's going great, we keep providing services for you. If we don't think it's a good fit, we let you know, like unfortunately, we're going to um stop things here because we feel like there is a better fit out there for you and we're not the right one. And yeah, that's happened. Like, it's happened to the point where I've paid people their money and over deliver on their service because I was that sure that we weren't the right fit for them. And so that I didn't burn bridges, I still gave them a month worth of services. Like, I knew within days, like, this isn't gonna work.
Right.
I
love that.
You have to be conscious of your team. You have to be conscious of how people are treating your team. There's a respect level with every client. If you feel that you're the big fish and we're the little marketing company that's running your social media, that's probably not the right dynamic. So all those things I take into consideration for sure.
Well, I don't want to take any more time because I know you're crazy busy. I just so appreciate you holding space for me. I am enjoying watching you grow. I'm enjoying watching each vision come to fruition. I don't even, like, one day we'll talk about the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, like where you see all of this going. But I am so excited for CreatorCon. So if you guys want tickets, I'm telling you, just get VIP tickets, get your team VIP tickets, CreatorConDetroit.com, get a hotel room at the Cambria, because I mean, I can't, you're great at throwing events, so I can't imagine what these events, even the post-party events, are going to be like. And I can't wait to be there as a featured podcast. This is going to be such an incredible event. And then I also can't wait to be at the grand opening for the social media store, because I see the vision is, and I feel like it's going to be absolutely incredible, not just for Detroit, but for everybody that's involved, and your team. So congratulations on everything that you're doing. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Rachel.
Robert, you're amazing. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.